Most manifestation content teaches you what to do. Visualize your desire, affirm what you want, write it down, script your perfect day, act as if it's already happened, and you try these things. You really do. You follow the instructions carefully, but nothing changes. Or it changes for a day or two, then goes right back to how it was before. So you blame yourself. You think you're not doing it right. You're not believing hard enough. You're not visualizing clearly enough. Maybe you're just not cut out for this manifestation stuff. Or maybe it's all fake and the people who say it works are lying or delusional. But here's what actually happened. You were handed techniques without understanding the system those techniques interact with. It's like someone giving you a smartphone with no explanation of how computers work. They just say, press this button and magic happens. So you press the button, sometimes something happens, most of the time nothing happens. You have no idea why either result occurred. Here's what you probably didn't realize. Reality has an operating system, 4 fundamental laws that govern how consciousness translates into experience. These laws don't care if you know about them. They run constantly, every second of every day, whether you understand them or not. Every manifestation technique you've ever tried was just a way of working with these laws. That's what this video fixes. You need to understand the operating system before we go any further. You need to know the 4 laws that make reality creation inevitable. When you understand these 4 laws, everything else makes sense. The techniques stop being mysterious. The failures stop being confusing. You'll know exactly why something works or doesn't work. You can troubleshoot. You can adjust your approach. You're not blind anymore. Most people learn techniques without understanding the system. They try to manifest without knowing what manifestation actually is. They apply methods without understanding why those methods would work. You're not doing that. You're building from the foundation up. Think about it this way. If someone teaches you to drive without explaining how cars work, you can follow instructions. Turn the wheel left, press the gas pedal. But when something goes wrong, you're helpless. You don't know if it's the engine or the transmission or the brakes or something else entirely. You can't diagnose. You can't fix it. But if you understand how cars work first, then learning to drive makes sense. When something goes wrong, you have a framework for figuring out what's happening. You can troubleshoot. You can adjust. You're not dependent on someone else to fix it for you. That's what understanding these 4 laws does for reality creation. You get the framework. You understand the system. Then techniques make sense. Failures become diagnostic information instead of mysterious disappointments. You become independent. You become the authority in your own life. So let's talk about the 4 laws that govern all reality. The first law is simple. You exist. That's it. You exist, and that cannot change. You might change the form of your existence. You might go from having a physical body to not having one. You might shift from this identity to another identity. You might move from this set of circumstances to a completely different set. But underneath all those changes, you still exist. Consciousness cannot be destroyed. Your awareness cannot be annihilated. You existed before this body. You'll exist after this body. You can't not exist. This is absolute. This is the first law. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's nice to know, but what does that have to do with manifestation? Everything. Because think about your deepest fear. For most people, beneath every other fear is the fear of death, the fear of ceasing to exist. That fear runs in the background of every decision you make. It's why you play it safe, why you don't take the risk, why you hold back from fully committing to your desires. Because some part of you is terrified that if you fail, if you lose, if things go wrong, you'll be annihilated in some fundamental way. You've probably experienced this without naming it. You want to start a business, but you don't because what if I lose everything? You want to end a draining relationship, but you don't because what if I end up alone forever? Under all of those what ifs is the same core fear. If this goes wrong, I'll be destroyed. I'll cease to exist in some meaningful way. And that fear keeps you stuck. It keeps you creating from a place of protection instead of possibility. It keeps you playing small because playing big feels dangerous. But here's what changes when you actually understand Law 1. You realize that annihilation is impossible. You cannot cease to exist. The worst thing you're afraid of cannot happen. You might have uncomfortable experiences. You might go through difficult circumstances. You might lose things, but you cannot be destroyed. Your consciousness is eternal. When that sinks in, when you really get it in your bones and not just your head, something shifts. The fear that's been running your entire life loses its power. Because the foundation it was built on just disappeared. You were afraid of something that can't happen. Next time you notice yourself holding back from something you want, ask yourself this question: what am I actually afraid of? And then keep asking, and what would happen then? Keep going until you hit bottom. You'll almost always find some version of "I'll cease to exist" or "I'll be destroyed." Now you know that's impossible. Law 1 guarantees it. You exist, and you cannot stop existing. That's not motivational speaking. That's the first fundamental law of reality. The second law says this: everything is connected. You are part of all that is. All that is exists within you. There is no actual separation, only the appearance of separation. What looks like individual things existing independently are actually different expressions of one unified field of consciousness. This means you have access to infinite intelligence and infinite resources. Not metaphorically, literally. Because if everything is one, and you are part of that one, then you have access to the whole thing. You're not a separate droplet trying to get resources from an ocean you're disconnected from. You are the ocean, experiencing itself as a droplet. Now you might be thinking, that sounds nice, but it doesn't feel true. I feel very separate. I feel very limited. That's because you're experiencing the appearance of separation. Your physical senses show you separate objects. Your ego tells you that you're an individual isolated from everything else, but that's not the fundamental reality. That's just how the game is set up so you can have experiences. You've actually experienced this law operating without realizing it. Ever had a moment where you just knew something you had no logical way of knowing? Or thought of someone right before they called? Or walked into a room and immediately felt the emotional atmosphere? Those experiences aren't coincidences. They aren't special psychic abilities. This is Law 2 operating. You're receiving information through your connection to the unified field of consciousness. Everyone does this all the time. Most people just dismiss these experiences because they don't have a framework for understanding them. Here's what this means for manifestation. If everything is connected and you're part of everything, then the thing you want already exists somewhere in the unified field. The money you want exists. The relationship you want exists. The health you want exists. They're all part of the one, and since you're also part of the one, you have access to them. Your job isn't to create something from nothing. You're not reaching outside yourself to grab something that's separate from you. You're tuning into a different frequency of the unified field. You're shifting your awareness to the part of the one where you already have what you want. It's a tuning problem, not a creation problem. When you want something, stop thinking, how do I get this thing that's outside of me? Instead ask, where in the infinite field of all that is, does this already exist, and how do I tune into that frequency? This is a complete shift in approach. You're not pushing against reality. You're adjusting your signal to match what already exists. The third law is the core mechanism of manifestation. What you put out is what you get back. Reality is a mirror. What you broadcast as your internal state gets reflected back as external circumstance. Not what you want, not what you say you want. What you actually are gets reflected back. This is the law of correspondence, the law of attraction, the mirror principle. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It doesn't respond to your wishes. It responds to your vibration. Your actual beliefs, your actual state, not your stated desires. You've probably noticed this pattern in your own life. When you're in a good mood, good things happen. Opportunities show up, people are friendly, things work out easily. When you're stressed and negative and worried, everything seems to go wrong. You hit every red light. People are difficult. Problems multiply. You probably thought this was just luck or coincidence. It wasn't. It was Law 3. Your internal state, whether calm and positive or stressed and negative, was being broadcast outward like a radio signal. Reality was receiving that signal and mirroring it back to you as circumstances that matched. This is why positive thinking alone doesn't work. If you're thinking positive thoughts while carrying negative beliefs underneath, reality reflects the beliefs, not the thoughts. Here's the mechanism. Your beliefs create an emotional state. That emotional state generates a particular vibration. That vibration broadcasts outward constantly. Reality, which is consciousness organized in patterns, responds by reflecting back circumstances that match your signal. Not what you want, what you are. This is why you can't trick the universe. You can't fake it. The universe doesn't hear your affirmations. It doesn't read your vision board. It reads your actual frequency, your actual state. What you're actually believing and feeling and being at the core level, that's what gets mirrored back. Think about someone you know who's always complaining that they never have any luck. They say they want good things to happen. They might even do affirmations, but nothing changes. Why? Because their actual state is, I never have any luck. That's the signal they're broadcasting. And Law 3 mirrors it back perfectly. Or think about someone who seems to have everything go their way. They're not necessarily smarter or better or more deserving, but they have this underlying assumption that things will work out for them. That's their actual state. That's what they're broadcasting. And Law 3 mirrors that back as circumstances where things do work out. Stop asking, what should I do to get what I want? Start asking, what state am I actually in right now? The fourth law says this: everything changes, always, constantly, without exception. The only things that don't change are laws 1, 2, and 3. Everything else is in motion all the time. Your current circumstances, temporary. Your current state, temporary. Your current beliefs, temporary. Everything is fluid. Everything is shifting. Nothing stays the same. This means no condition is permanent. Nothing is fixed. Nothing is stuck. It's all moving all the time. Think about something you were absolutely certain would never change. Maybe it was a relationship you thought would last forever, or a job you thought was permanent, or a belief about yourself you thought was just who you are. Then it changed anyway. Maybe that change felt devastating at the time, or maybe it felt liberating. But either way, here's what you probably didn't realize. The change proved Law 4, nothing stays the same, ever. Which means the circumstances you don't like right now, they're already changing. They're not fixed. They're not permanent. They're not your destiny. They're just your current circumstances, and they're already in motion. The question isn't will they change? They already are changing. The question is, in which direction are they changing? And here's what determines the direction. Your signal, remember, Law 3, reality mirrors your signal. Now, add Law 4. Reality is constantly updating based on your current signal. Put those together, and you get this. The moment you change your internal state, reality begins updating to match. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens continuously, moment by moment. Every thought is a steering adjustment. Every belief is a new coordinate, and reality is always recalculating the route. This is why you can have been broadcasting one signal for years, then change your signal, and watch your circumstances shift to match the new signal. The old circumstances weren't permanent. They were just a reflection of your old signal. When you look at your current circumstances and think, this is just how it is, you're forgetting Law 4. Nothing is permanent. The circumstances you're looking at were created by your past signal. They're already outdated the moment you change your signal. They're old news. The reflection in the mirror is still showing your old position because light takes time to travel. But you've already moved. The mirror is catching up. Your job is to hold a new signal consistently enough that reality has time to update and reflect it back to you. That's all manifestation is. Holding a signal until reality catches up. Not forcing, not pushing, not making it happen. Just broadcasting the new signal and trusting Law 3 and Law 4 to do what they always do. This is also why you can't give up after a week and say, it's not working. Law 4 says everything changes, but change takes time to propagate through physical reality. You change your signal on Monday. By Friday, you're looking at circumstances that were set in motion by last month's signal. The new circumstances are forming, but they haven't materialized yet. You're standing in the old reflection complaining that the new signal isn't working. It's like changing direction while driving, then complaining 3 seconds later that you're not at the new destination yet. You changed direction. The car is turning, you just haven't arrived yet. Hold the signal, trust the laws. Law 3 will mirror it. Law 4 will update the reflection. You just need to broadcast consistently enough that reality has something consistent to reflect back. If you keep changing your signal every 3 days, reality never gets a clear, sustained broadcast to mirror. It's like trying to tune into a radio station but constantly turning the dial. You'll never hear anything clearly. Choose your signal. Hold it. Let Law 3 and Law 4 do their job. They will. They have to. That's how the laws work. They're not suggestions. They're not possibilities. They're laws. They operate with mechanical precision every single time. Now here's what makes these 4 laws so powerful when you put them together. Let's put all 4 laws together and see what they create. You exist. That's Law 1. So you're always experiencing something. You can't not have an experience. Existence means experience. You're connected to everything. That's Law 2. So you have access to all possibilities. Every version of reality exists in the unified field. You're part of that field. Therefore, you have access to every possibility. Reality mirrors your signal. That's Law 3. So your experience must match your state. Whatever you're broadcasting internally gets reflected externally. It has to. That's how the law works. Everything is always changing. That's Law 4. So you can shift to any experience. Your current circumstances are temporary. Your current state is temporary. You can change your signal, and reality will update to match. Put those 4 together, you are always creating your reality. Not sometimes, not when you do it right, not when you believe hard enough, always. Right now, this moment. You are experiencing existence because you exist. You are experiencing a specific version of existence because you're connected to all versions and selecting one through your signal. You are experiencing circumstances that match your signal because reality mirrors your signal. And your experience is constantly updating because everything changes based on your current signal. It's not optional. It's not a skill you need to learn. It's not something you can do wrong. It's what's already happening. The 4 laws are already running. They're always running. They've been running your entire life. You've been doing this your entire life without knowing it. Every circumstance you're currently experiencing exists because you created it through these 4 laws. You exist, so you had to experience something. You're connected to infinite possibilities, so you had access to any experience. Reality mirrored your signal, so it gave you circumstances matching your beliefs and focus. And because everything changes, your current reality shifted into being based on your sustained signal over time. Look at your bank account. That number exists because these 4 laws reflected your signal about money. Look at your relationships. Those dynamics exist because these 4 laws reflected your signal about connection and worthiness. Look at your health. That physical state exists because these 4 laws reflected your signal about your body and vitality. You're not bad at manifestation. You're excellent at it. You've been manifesting perfectly your entire life. The system has been working flawlessly. The only question was never, can I create reality? You are creating reality right now, reading these words, whether you want to or not. The only question is, am I creating consciously or unconsciously? Unconscious creation means your signal runs on autopilot. Childhood beliefs, mass consciousness programming, reactive patterns, other people's opinions that you absorbed, cultural conditioning, trauma responses, all of that creates a signal, and Law 3 mirrors it back, and Law 4 updates it constantly. You're creating, but you're not choosing what you create. Your unconscious signal is choosing for you. Conscious creation means understanding your signal and choosing it deliberately. You examine your beliefs, you identify your state, you recognize what you're broadcasting, and you change it intentionally. Then you hold the new signal consistently until Law 3 and Law 4 do their job and reflect it back as new circumstances. That's the only difference. Same 4 laws, same mechanism, different level of awareness, conscious or unconscious, deliberate or accidental, chosen or default. Look at your life right now. Your current circumstances are proof that you've already been creating reality. The system works. It's been working all along. The only difference between unconscious creation and conscious creation is awareness. Now you understand the operating system. Now you can work with it deliberately instead of accidentally. But here's where most people get confused about these laws. Let's clear up some common misunderstandings that block people from using these laws effectively. Misconception 1. Law 3 means if I think positive, positive things happen. Wrong. Law 3 doesn't respond to your thoughts about your state. It responds to your actual state. If you're thinking, I am abundant, while believing I'll never have enough, reality mirrors the belief, not the thought. The belief is the actual signal. The thought is just noise on top of the signal. Positive thinking without changed beliefs is like painting over rust. It looks better for a minute, then the rust shows through again. You've probably tried this. You did affirmations every morning. I am wealthy. I am successful. I am confident. But your circumstances didn't change. Why? Because underneath those affirmations, your actual beliefs were still running. I'll never have enough. I'm not good enough. I'm fooling myself. Those beliefs were the actual signal, and Law 3 mirrored them perfectly. The affirmations weren't wrong. They just weren't changing your actual signal. They were surface-level thoughts attempting to override deep-level beliefs. It doesn't work that way. You need to change the belief, not just think opposite thoughts on top of the belief. That's the difference between working with Law 3 and trying to trick it. Misconception 2. Law 4 means I just have to wait and things will change on their own. Wrong. Change is constant, but it follows your signal. You're steering the change whether you know it or not. If you keep broadcasting the same signal, Law 4 will keep updating reality to match that signal. Things will change, but they'll change into more of the same. If you want different circumstances, you need to broadcast a different signal, then Law 4 will change things in that direction. You can't just sit back and wait for things to improve while continuing to broadcast the same signal that created your current circumstances. The laws are mechanical. They don't decide to help you out. They just operate. You might have tried this. You heard that everything changes, so you thought, I'll just wait and eventually things will get better. But they didn't get better. Why? Because you were still broadcasting the same signal. Your beliefs didn't change. Your state didn't change. So Law 3 kept mirroring the same circumstances, and Law 4 kept updating them to match your continued signal. Change requires you to change your signal first. The external change follows the internal change, not the other way around. You can't wait for external circumstances to change and then change your signal in response. You change your signal, then external circumstances update to match. That's how the sequence works. Misconception 3. Law 2 means we're all one, so my desires don't matter. Wrong. You're a unique perspective within the one. Your desires are how the one explores itself. You wanting something is the one, wanting to experience that through you. Your individuality isn't separate from the one, it's how the one expresses itself. Your desires matter because they're the one's desires expressed through your unique viewpoint. Misconception 4. Law 1 means nothing bad can happen to me. Wrong. Law 1 means you can't be destroyed. You'll always exist. But you can still have challenging experiences. That's what experience is for. The point isn't to never have difficulties. The point is to know that no difficulty can actually destroy you. You'll always exist, which means you'll always come through to another experience. That's very different from nothing bad can happen. Challenges can happen. Difficulties can happen. Uncomfortable experiences can happen. But you cannot be annihilated. You cannot cease to exist. That's what Law 1 guarantees. When manifestation doesn't work, it's not because the laws stopped working. It's because you misunderstood which signal was actually being broadcast. The laws responded perfectly to your actual signal. They always do. They just didn't respond to the signal you thought you were sending. In video 2, we covered Seth's explanation of how reality works. Consciousness creates reality. Your beliefs filter your perception. Your perception organizes matter. Physical reality is a projection outward from consciousness. Now, we've covered Bashar's 4 laws. These aren't two different systems. They're the same system described from different angles. Seth gives you the detailed engineering diagram. He shows you exactly how consciousness transforms belief into perception into physical reality. It's comprehensive, it's precise, it's the mechanism. Bashar gives you the operating principles. He shows you the fundamental laws that make Seth's mechanism work. It's simplified, it's foundational, it's the framework. You need both. Seth tells you how reality creation works, step by step, belief to perception to reality. Bashar tells you why it has to work that way, the laws that make the mechanism inevitable. Remember from video 2 when we talked about consciousness projecting reality outward? That's Seth's mechanism. Now add Bashar's laws. You exist eternally, so you're always projecting. That's law 1. You're connected to everything, so your projection can take any form. That's law 2. Your projection mirrors your state, so you see what you believe. That's law 3. Your projection is constantly updating, so reality shifts as you shift. That's law 4. Same system. 2 different explanations. Look at what Seth says. Your beliefs create your reality. He spends entire chapters explaining exactly how that happens. Your beliefs filter what you perceive. Your perception determines your emotional state. Your emotional state directs your focus. Your focus organizes energy into matter. That's the mechanism. Now look at what Bashar says. What you put out is what you get back. That's law 3. Same truth as Seth, simplified into one law. Seth explains the process. Bashar states the principle. When you're working with reality creation, use Seth's mechanism for the detailed how and Bashar's laws for the simplified why. If you get confused about technique, go back to the laws. They'll reorient you. The laws are your foundation. The mechanism is your map. Together, they're complete. Seth is your engineer, explaining how the engine works. Bashar is your mechanic, explaining the basic principles that make any engine run. You need both. The engineer shows you all the parts and how they interact. The mechanic shows you the fundamentals that never change, regardless of which engine you're working with. Most people learn Seth's mechanism and get overwhelmed by the detail. Or they learn Bashar's laws and wonder how to actually apply them. You're getting both, the detail and the principles, the how and the why. Now that you understand the 4 laws, let's talk about what this means practically. You can't not create reality. The system is always on. The 4 laws are always running. You exist, you're connected to all possibilities, your signal is being mirrored, and everything is changing. Right now, this moment, always. You can only create consciously or unconsciously. That's the only choice. The laws don't judge. They don't decide whether you deserve good or bad. They don't reward good people and punish bad people. They just mirror. Law 3 reflects your signal. That's it. No judgment, no morality, just reflection. This means you have complete creative freedom. You can broadcast any signal you want. You can choose any beliefs you want. You can select any identity you want. The laws will mirror whatever you choose. There's no cosmic authority telling you what you're allowed to want or allowed to be. But this also means you have complete responsibility. Your current circumstances are a reflection of your past signal. Not punishment, not karma, not bad luck, not the economy, not your childhood, not other people. Just your signal mirrored back by law 3. You created this through these 4 laws, which also means you can create something different through these same 4 laws. Here's the fatal mistake most people make. They try to change reality directly through external action instead of changing their signal and letting reality mirror it naturally. This is backwards. It's like trying to change your reflection by reaching into the mirror. The mirror can only show what's in front of it. You've probably done this. You wanted more money, so you worked harder, longer hours, more hustle, more effort. Maybe you made some money, but it didn't last. You ended up back where you started, just more exhausted. Or you wanted a better relationship, so you tried to change your partner. You worked on the relationship. You did all the right things. But nothing fundamentally changed. Here's what was happening. You were trying to change the reflection while your signal stayed the same. You were working on the external while the internal remained unchanged. And eventually, Law 3 overrode your effort. It mirrored back your actual signal, not your forced actions. External action taken from an unchanged internal state will always revert. Always. Why? Law 3. If you force external change through action while your beliefs stay the same, You're broadcasting two contradictory signals. The belief signal is constant. The action signal is temporary. When you get tired, which you will, the action stops. But the belief keeps broadcasting. And law 3 mirrors the sustained signal. The correct approach is this: change your signal first. Change the belief. Shift the identity. Adjust the state. Feel the change in your body. Get into the actual state of being the person who has what you want. Not pretending, not faking, actually shifting internally. When you're genuinely in the new state, when your signal has actually changed, then action becomes natural. This is what manifestation teachers mean when they say inspired action. They mean action that flows naturally from your changed state, not forced action trying to compensate for an unchanged state. When your signal is I am wealthy, generous spending feels natural. When your signal is I am confident, social situations feel easy. When your signal is I am healthy, taking care of your body feels obvious. The action isn't what creates the result. The signal creates the result. The action is just the physical extension of your signal. Next time you want something, resist the urge to immediately do something external. First, shift internally. What would I believe if I already had this? What identity would I be operating from? What state would I be in? Feel that. Become that. Let your signal actually change. When you're genuinely in the new state, action, if needed, will feel natural and effortless. Let's step back and look at what you now understand. Video 1 showed you your personal proof. You've been creating reality unconsciously your entire life. Video 2 showed you Seth's mechanism. Consciousness creates reality through beliefs and perception. Video 3. This video showed you Bashar's 4 laws. You exist eternally. You're connected to everything. Reality mirrors your signal. Everything changes constantly. Together, you now understand that you create reality, how you create it, and why you can't not create it. That's the complete foundation. You're building from the foundation up. You understand the operating system, you know the laws, you know the mechanism. Where you're going next? Video 4 will show you the detailed mechanics of how beliefs translate into perception and action. Video 5 will show you why you can't just fake it till you make it. Video 6 will map your personality structure. By video 12, you'll have the complete Phase 1 foundation. Then Phase 2 is diagnosis. You'll learn how to find your specific limiting beliefs. Then Phase 3 is protocols. You'll learn multiple techniques for changing beliefs. Then Phase 4 is integration. You'll learn how to maintain your new signal, but right now, you're in Phase 1, foundation, and you need this foundation solid before you move forward. Let's apply the 4 laws to your actual current circumstances right now. Law 1, check. You exist. This is guaranteed. Therefore, your current circumstances cannot destroy you. Question: what would you try if you truly believed you couldn't fail? Not fail in the sense of not getting what you want, but fail in the sense of being destroyed. What would you do if you knew that no matter what happened, you'd still exist? That's what Law 1 makes possible. Law 2, check. You're connected to everything. Therefore, every possibility is accessible to you. Question: what do you want that you've been thinking is impossible? That thing exists in the unified field. You have access to it because you're part of that field. That's what Law 2 makes accessible. Law 3, check. Your reality mirrors your signal. Therefore, your current results show your actual beliefs. Question: what do your results tell you about what you actually believe? Look at your bank account. Look at your relationships. Look at your health. That's what Law 3 is showing you. Law 4, check. Everything changes constantly. Therefore, you're broadcasting a signal right now that's determining your next reality. Question: what signal are you broadcasting right now? That signal right now is what Law 3 will mirror back. What are you choosing to broadcast? Look at your life right now through these 4 lenses. You exist, so you're experiencing something. You're connected to everything, so you could experience anything. Your reality mirrors your signal, so you're experiencing whatever matches your broadcast. Everything is changing, so your next experience depends on your current signal. You're not broken. You're not doing it wrong. You're not bad at this. You're operating perfectly within the 4 laws. The system is working exactly as designed. You've been creating reality your entire life. The only question is, are you conscious of it yet? In the next video, we're going to get into the detailed mechanics, exactly how your beliefs become your perception and your perception becomes your experience. We're going deeper into the mechanism Seth described. But before we do that, sit with these 4 laws. Let them sink in, really understand them, because everything else we're going to cover builds on this foundation. The 4 laws aren't theory. They're not philosophy. They're not belief. They're the operating system of reality. They're running right now. They've always been running. They'll always be running. You can't turn them off. You can only become conscious of them and work with them deliberately. That's what this channel teaches. Conscious, deliberate reality creation based on understanding the actual system. Not motivational speaking, not wishful thinking. Mechanics, process, system. You now understand the 4 laws that govern all reality. Next video, we go deeper. See you there.